Hello and welcome to the IceCast Live. Welcome also to my co-host, Ollie Merry Christmas McMonee.
Why not, eh? It is the season after all.
It is indeed. How you doing, mate? You're all right?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, Shane?
Yeah, I can't complain. As you know, I work on a Thursday and I've had a long day's work, but I quite like to do this after work.
Yeah.
You know, what helps me wind down. You know, it's
That's
always
good to know, yes.
Yes. And yourself, have you had a busy day?
I have, because I had my car's been in the garage for 4 days. It went in to get a tyre fix and it came out with all sorts being done, but the MOT's done for another 12 months. And because I had so much sort of stuff done on it, I got the MOT for free, so it was an early Christmas present. So I was well happy. Yeah, very happy. They're a great set of guys.
That's really good. Free MOT. I had to pay for mine last week. So tonight we've got an amazing guest on. Well, two amazing guests, in fact. A legendary artist who's worked for all the big companies, done groundbreaking work on titles like Doctor Strange, Micronauts, the NAM, and so you probably worked out who it is if you don't know who it is already. And I'm very, very excited to be welcoming Michael Golden onto the show. And also Renee Witterstaeter, who's also going to be talking to us about the new Spartan X book, which I believe is on Indiegogo at the moment, or about to be on Indiegogo.
About to be launched, yeah.
It's next month, isn't it? Yeah. And I'm very excited about it because it looks really cool. Michael's artwork looks breathtaking, and it's the whole sort of Jackie Chan angle. I'm a big Jackie Chan fan, so that's really cool as well. So we're looking forward to speaking to them both. And this is our sort of last show before the end of the year, really. Apart from we're going to be doing a little show. I'll just mention it. A little show next week, aren't we, Ollie?
Yeah. A little rundown of our favourite titles for the year, which is a nice way to see the year out, I think.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Although in our pre-chats, we've already discovered that, you know, some of our favorite titles are the same. So I might have to think of a few new ones. You know,
well, so we can always talk about favorite graphic novels, favorite mini-series. I'm always loath to put mini-series in for favorite title. So I've got a few mini-series that I thought were absolutely spectacular that I'm sure once we get going next week, there'll be no stopping us.
Definitely, mate. Definitely. I'm looking forward to that show.
Yeah.
And that will be, you know, the last show of the year.
Yeah.
And then we start a new one.
But I'm really looking forward to this one because this is a nice Christmassy one. We've got Frankenstein, Gold, and Meh. If you get what I'm saying.
Very good. Very good. Well, you're festive in your background anyway.
Yeah. I'm not the only one of our guests who are festive as well. So I know I'm not. At least there's only two of us. So you can be the Grinch of the party.
Yeah, well, I am a bit of a Grinch anyway. Thank you, Chris, for the Christmas wishes. Same to you, mate. So we better start the show, had we?
We best start, yeah.
Get that VT running, mate, and we'll start the show. And welcome back to the IceCast, and welcome to our special guests. Hello, Michael, and hello, Renee.
Hi, folks.
How you doing?
Hello.
Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
I like how Ollie and I are very simpatico here.
We are, aren't we? We are.
And me and Michael are kind of on their side.
Well, you know.
About this jingle bells, I had to wear it somewhere.
Yeah, it's nice to see a bit of sparkle on the interview.
What it is, me and Michael obviously have to work really, really hard, and we don't have time to mess around with all that stuff. That's what
I know.
Michael will provide the sparkling chats, though, no doubt.
Sure.
I sure do miss you guys over there. Someday we'll be in the room together again.
Indeed. I mean, I was just thinking back, actually, guys, to when you came over as my guest at Bix, and we were trying to work out what year it was. And, I think it was 2009. Does that seem like to you?
Oh, I don't know. Too long.
I think so. Yeah, it's been a while in Birmingham, and we had a good time. And you very kindly gave me one of the art books, one of the big hardback art books, which I absolutely adored, full of wonderful art from you, Michael. Fantastic stuff. But you've published others since then, haven't you?
Yes, we've done several different art books on Michael since 2009. I think we've done a few new sketchbooks, and there was also the art retrospective from Vanguard, which was a look at his whole career, and I wrote that one and actually designed that book. And there have been some artist editions out on him, including the Micronauts, which any interested fans out there, I know it's a really hard book to find, but we do have 25 of them. And one thing we've been doing at some of our appearances is we sell raffle tickets for the book, because it's a really expensive book. Yeah. So if you buy raffle tickets for it, then your tickets stay in there. And, it gives everybody kind of a chance to get one. And what you mentioned earlier is something we're working on now, which is a trade paperback on the Spartan X series that we started back in, I believe, 97. And it's never been completed. So what we're doing now is we're starting an Indiegogo so we can get people on the mailing list. You can sign up to be on the mailing list now and get a free digital poster. And when we do launch the book project, then you'll be some of the first people to hear about it. And we want to compile the stories, finish the story, have a lot of behind the scenes material and interviews. So, we're planning that right now. But of course, Michael's working on a lot of other stuff too in the meantime.
Always keep him busy, eh, Michael?
I can only hope.
We've been very blessed, actually. During the pandemic, we've reinvented ourselves in some ways. We did a lot of work through happyspacepop.com, which with a lot of virtual interviews and meetups with the fans, and did small store appearances and small conventions. And we went to a lot of places that we normally wouldn't go, but or had not been able to go before, I should say. So we just kind of reinvented ourselves in some ways. But Michael has been very busy, as have the other people I've been working with.
I mean, reinvention is an interesting word, actually, because I've been a follower of your work, Michael, for since I can remember, to be honest. And you always have reinvented.
Thanks for
yourself.
Reminding me of that age gap. I really appreciate it. Happy holidays.
I've been reading comics all my life. What can I say?
Well, please.
Since I was little.
Digress. Go ahead.
But I have noticed that reinvention. Your style has changed, your work approach, as far as I can tell. You've embraced, modern ways of working digitally that a lot of other artists from that era sort of haven't really embraced. And
well, I was one of the first ones that went digital. I was working digitally on Photoshop 2.0 on a Mac that had less memory than modern mobile phones. If you did a cover, like more than 10 megabytes in size, you had to break it up into 3 separate parts and create 3 separate files so that you could keep them on your computer.
I was like drawing with a chisel and a hammer.
Pretty much. Yep, pretty much. But it was fun. I enjoyed the technology.
Michael's been kind of a trendsetter in that at a lot of different points. He was one of the first artists to do cell paintings back at Marvel too.
Yeah.
the GI Joe annual, and probably before that, even nobody else was doing that at the time.
No. But like you say, it's fun, isn't it, to break new ground? And being a pioneer, sometimes, yes, it can be tough because you're the first person doing it, and there's no one to say, well, this is how you do it. You sort of got to find your own way. But that's also really exciting as an artist, I think.
I don't know if in my case, I don't know if I would define it as exciting. Now, only because I always do it the wrong way. I do it on a deadline. I'm trying to learn new stuff on the job. And the job in my business, of course, is deadline oriented. It's not like I can go in to an office in my little cubicle and sit down and try and figure out how to use Google, during the shutdown here in the United States, I had to learn how to work on this iPad, and I had to figure out how to do artwork on it. And finished artwork. I mean, print, go to press kind of artwork. And like I said, exciting is not the word I would use. Maybe fun would be. In the sense that, it's always great to have to learn new things or get the opportunity to learn new things. But trying to do it when the work is due at the end of the week, and not so much.
Rough.
And that's my job, Michael. We got
then I get an email from her because she knows I won't pick up the phone.
Sometimes you do.
So,
are you one of those people, Michael, when you look at your phone, if there's not a name on the phone call, if it's just a number, you just don't answer it?
Oh, right. And I usually then go in and block it afterwards.
I'm the same.
But everyone's going,
and anybody that just heard this, know this, okay? I don't know the number. Forget it. You're never going to get through again.
That's it. Nothing personal. It's just a policy, and it works. Yeah.
Well, I'll also say, though, as a qualifier, I mean, I'm not, like anti-phone. I'm certainly, as you can tell by the nature of my job, I work with this kind of technology all the time. I just didn't grow up with telephone technology. We had a phone, but getting to use it was iffy because it was on a trunk line, what we call here a trunk line, party line, whatever phrase you want to use. In other words, the entire county was on one telephone line.
No secrets.
And not only no secrets, but you had to wait your turn. And so, and that's been true with me and telephones literally up until Renee made me get a mobile phone. I had landlines periodically. Most of the time I didn't, and I rarely actually answered the phone. And I did not have an answering machine, folks. I did not hide behind an answering machine. I just didn't answer the phone.
You're like the Bill Murray of the comic book world.
Okay.
He famously doesn't have a phone or answer phones.
But ultimately, Renee, insisted that she be able to get in contact with me, of course, because she's my agent. And the rest is, I've got the thing with me. But I also have the very annoying habit of just turning it off and then setting it down someplace and forgetting where it's at. I have the Find My Phone app on my other technology specifically because I'm always losing my phone. I forget where I put it.
And I like it that he has a phone because when I lose my phone, he helps me find it.
I help her find hers.
There you go. The old "can you ring my phone" trick.
Yep. Exactly.
Yes, and hopefully
I'm the same.
Silent. And the other thing he does with his phone, whenever we're traveling, and he'll do this next time we're in Birmingham, he takes pictures of manhole covers.
Oh,
really?
right.
Well, there's that.
That's an interesting.
Why
hobby.
manhole covers, Michael?
Some of them are really beautiful and
true.
really well done. Some of
Yeah.
them are really well designed. I didn't set out to take pictures of manhole covers. It's just that, like, I forget. I'd have to go through my files to figure out which is the first one. But it was, probably a really cool design. The most beautiful manhole covers I've ever seen were in Japan.
Really?
They're not only well designed, but they're in color.
In color?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Wow.
And I've got probably a dozen pictures of manhole covers in Japan. Because I couldn't believe it. That a city would spend that kind of money and effort to have these things, and they're part of the landscape. I don't know if the Japanese even see them, but it was the first thing I saw when I got down in whatever city it was that we were in.
It's amazing sometimes as a tourist. You do notice more things, don't you, as a tourist? Like, I live in a very beautiful town called Shrewsbury in Shropshire in the UK. And it's a medieval town full of beautiful buildings and beautiful scenery. But it wasn't until I started running a show here and sort of introducing outside people to the town that I really noticed how beautiful it was. We've got a castle, we've got Tudor buildings, cobbled streets. You just take those things for granted. And I guess, if you live in a city with beautiful manholes, if you've lived there all your life, you've probably never noticed them,
Well, there are some cities that don't bother. It's just like a plate sitting in the hole. But I take pictures of the ones where they actually say the name of the city on the manhole, that they actually say something, and have the name of the city, so that if you look at the photograph, you go, oh, well, that's really cool, like Nashville. Or actually, I think when we were in England, I got some pictures there. London actually has some very interesting manholes.
I imagine they will too.
Yeah.
And so I've got a
phone ringing somewhere. Whose phone's ringing?
His back. It's in the back. His back room.
It's done now.
He's not going to pick it up.
No. You notice I didn't pick it up.
Yeah, obviously. Just to prove that you proved the point. Yeah.
Stay on brand, Michael. Stay on brand.
So we've got some artwork actually that you shared.
Of manholes? No, that's for later.
Not manholes. No, surprisingly.
And this whole manhole cover thing, though, is part of what makes Michael so great. Is he always pays attention to detail wherever.
I was wondering how you were going to connect that.
Yeah, and at some point, it's going to end up in a piece of artwork.
Yes.
City, or he'll get inspired by these photos he's taken in our various travels. So if he took photos in Birmingham, part of that may end up in something someday.
Just be forewarned, I did take pictures in Birmingham.
I live in Birmingham, so I'm going to have to look out for these manhole covers, Michael.
Paris has got some very interesting manhole covers too, because they've got a medieval sewer system.
Oh, wow, yes.
Of course,
so
yes.
It's like they've got grates, and you don't see grates much anymore.
No.
You know what I mean by grates?
That's
really old school.
That's really old, and you can smell it coming up through the grates. It's like, okay, that explains a lot.
It's connected to the catacombs. Yeah.
So our man in the background, Sam, he is back on the stream now. Sam, can you share some of that artwork for us? I can see him working away in the studio to try. In the meantime, what I'll do, I'll share some comments that have come in. Andy Hayes, hey guys, Merry Christmas. I remember Michael's art on the NAM. It was reprinted Marvel UK. Oh, in Marvel UK's The Punisher. Of course it was.
It?
Yeah. It was, yes, reprinted.
That's interesting that they put it in The Punisher.
Yeah, well, The Punisher did
the NAM. No, that makes total sense.
Yeah, he did fight in the NAM, didn't he? So I suppose that's the link, isn't it?
And he appeared in the series as well later on after you left the series, Michael. You know, so I suppose
they promised us it would be nothing but the NAR month by month. Yes. And then they decided, you know what? Let's throw in a few superheroes after all.
They couldn't resist, could they?
Royalty checks, Michael, and see if we got paid for that.
Yes, definitely. Yes, if you get overseas royalty, then you should be getting that.
Marvel does not pay overseas royalties.
I did. No. Chris Ball, 2008 was the year that you guys came over to Birmingham.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
That up. Hope we
Sam's little minions in the back. Sean's minions in the background. So if Chris says 2008, he's right.
He knows his stuff. He knows his stuff. We've got a long message here from Michael Powell. Hi, Michael. I was so inspired by your work on Micronauts that I set a story in a toy shop in 1977 for the British comic The 77 this year, so I could include Biotron. If you ever fancy collaborating on a short story for a UK anthology, ask Shane to talk to you about Dead by Dawn. Well, there you go. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Zombie series?
It's a horror anthology that I publish. I have got the T-shirt, actually.
Oh, there you go.
What Shane does on that is he matches professionals working in the industry with newbies. So it might be a professional writer with a sort of newbie artist, or a professional artist with a newbie writer. It's a great idea.
Yeah, we've had some interesting results from that as well. I'm very happy with the first issue. So yeah. Anyway, let's move on. So we've got a lovely Spider-Man piece here. Can you tell us a little bit about that one, Michael?
Looks like a Spider-Man piece to me.
Is it based on a Mexican manhole? The background by any chance?
I was just maybe so. Mexico City.
I was going to ask that. The background.
I'm sorry. I'm drawing a blank on this one, guys. I don't even remember what this was.
Well, you must do so much artwork and so frequently that there's got to be gaps, haven't there? Well, I wasn't. No, not at all. I think it's, after decades of working in the industry, you're not going to have photographic memories for everything you've done. I'm sure not. I mean, it's like, I teach, and I can't remember half the lessons I teach. So that's just the name of the game, isn't it?
When you're doing a lot of work.
Well, you just spoiled it for your kids. They're all going to go, oh, yeah, that old fart can't remember what he told us 10 minutes ago.
Well, that was one of the Spider-Man annuals. And the thing I really love about that one is the circular design, which Michael does a lot. It focuses your attention.
Yeah.
What did you say it was from?
Of the piece.
Spider-Man Annual.
Spider-Man Annual. Okay.
I believe so. And what I also love about that is it's a really good example of Michael's color sense and how the cover itself tells a story.
It draws you in, doesn't it? Because of that circular frame around it.
Right. And the color works with the art.
Yeah.
To focus.
Yeah, talk about me like I'm not here, guys.
You couldn't remember it, Michael.
Yeah, good point. Good point. I'll let everybody else fill in the gaps.
Chris Ball, we're just appreciating it now.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Annual 2001. That long ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Apparently so.
Oh, there we go.
This has got to be a Japanese one,
Manhole Covers.
That is lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is beautiful.
Is that Sherry Castle or?
That I wouldn't know.
I think we have that manhole cover photo.
Probably so. Yeah. I know I've got that one.
Where's that?
Or something no, the one I've got is actually it's got the mandala in the middle, the sun thing. It was in color.
Wow.
And I don't think it said manhole covers on it.
Yeah. No, I think that's been photoshopped, hasn't it?
I think so, possibly.
Yeah, but I had something very similar to that, like a mandala thing, and it's all in color. And it was from a shopping center in the city. I mean, they got it just like everywhere. Now that one was from XMen First Class or Wolverine First Class or something like that.
Right.
It was all about Wolverine and Kitty.
Yeah, I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
That's a lovely composition.
Thank you. Well, they just, I think it was a test to see if I could actually draw animals.
Yeah, animals are tricky because we see people all the time, so they get sort of ingrained into our memory. And if you're drawing people, but animals sometimes it's like, oh, I'm not quite sure how. Especially I find horses. Horses, I really.
Well, you know, a lot of the guys in the business, more so in the comic books, graphic narrative end of commercial art, are really not trained artists per se. In other words, they didn't go, you know, learn, you know, how to draw things. They're just basically, they like, you know, they've seen artwork in comic books and they emulate it. And some of them are really good at it. But when you go outside, what's the word of your experience? What's that word? It's
comfort zone.
What's there's a
comfort zone. Your comfort
wheelhouse.
Oh, right,
yeah. If it goes outside your wheelhouse, then they have a lot of difficulty with it. There's, you know, and that's why whenever anybody else asks me, you know, like what should I do to be an artist, and I'm telling them learn everything. You know, learn how to draw everything.
Yeah.
There's a commercial artist who's right on. I know his name, and everybody else knows his work. Who could do just incredible scenery, lighting stuff, vehicles and stuff like that, but he can't draw the human body for nothing.
Bit of a problem if you're drawing comics, isn't it?
Well, he's not in comics. He's a commercial artist. He does advertising.
Right. Yeah.
And or did. I don't think he's alive anymore, but right. You know, there's all kinds of examples of that sort of thing. I mean, my figure drawing when I was first working in the industry was lame at best. I look back on it now as a former editor and an art director and go, God, who gave that guy work? You know? Fortunately, what pulled me through was my design sense and the fact that I can tell a story inherently. And I'm proud of that fact. My drawing, not so much, but you know, and that's the way of this industry, of the art industry. I mean, even if you look back at the masters, you know, the master painters, like the Dutch painters, you look at some of the little dogs that they painted. Now, they had the real dog right in front of them. Why couldn't they paint it? You know?
Early on in their careers, they're still, you know, learning, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's what this broadcast started out with, was it's like it's all a learning experience. Once you stop learning, one, you're crippled, because who knows what you're going to have to come up with at any given point in time. When you're a commercial artist, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you've got to draw a little dog. And two, you're going to find moving through the industry more and more difficult, because of this technology, because of this digital technology, it's literally changing its context, if not its actual content, every single day.
And of course, there's new artists all, you know, coming into the scene who are brought up with that technology. It's almost second nature to them. And as you know, if you're an artist who's been going for a long time, or you've been in one field, trying to then continue or to move into another field is always hard if you've got brand new artists, you know, all coming up. And some of these new guys,
it's why amazing. You don't see a whole lot of cross-pollination. You don't see a lot of comic book artists doing commercial art. You don't see a lot of commercial artists trying their hands at comic books.
It's a different discipline, isn't it?
Unless they were comic book fans.
Yeah.
But you rarely see a comic book artist move toward commercial art, commercial illustration, even though some of them are more than qualified in a particular context to do so.
Yeah. But I think it's
one thing Michael likes to do is try to stay on top of the technology and try to find ways to use it.
What she said.
And I think, you know, going the other way as well, from sort of commercial art to comics, as you alluded to earlier, Michael, it's the storytelling is the real skill that you need for comics, as opposed to just being able to illustrate.
Right.
And a lot of those guys just don't inherently have that storytelling skill, as it were.
Yeah, story illustration is easy. Because all you have to think about is your expertise at delineating a singular event. And if you hide behind stylization, it becomes even easier, because now you don't have to deal with basic storytelling elements. Love those guys. Some of them are brilliant at doing it, you know. But it's not storytelling. You know, and I had a class that I was teaching. I was going around the world for a while teaching to commercial artists, teaching them storytelling, because the work in commercial work, there's a lot of storytelling. A lot of people don't think about what it takes, you know, to do your job well. And then ultimately it always boils down to just fighting with the client anyway. But
I'm sure there's a few artists who were watching this who are probably nodding, agreeing with you there.
Oh yeah.
But Ollie, sorry, did you have something you wanted to?
I'm thinking about the storytelling now. For me, that certainly was evident on a book like The Norm, where it's very, you know, you talk about being out your comfort zone, out your wheelhouse. It's a very different book to the Micronauts in many, many different ways. But even now, I have this strong memory of the characters being ever so slightly exaggerating their facial features. And it really sold the story to me, because essentially it was a war comic unfolding in real time. And there was a lot of talking about, and there was a lot of slang being introduced. And the fact that we're talking about it decades later, it's still a fan favourite amongst people of my generation as well. And for me, that storytelling was really well adapted to that particular title whilst you were on it. Maybe if you'd stuck on it, they wouldn't have had to throw in the odd superhero to sort of add a bit more pizzazz.
Maybe not.
Did you? I mean, was it something that had to be sold to you? Is it something you were very quick to take on board? It was a very, very different kind of comic for its time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, like you said, it was a real-time comic book, or at least that's how it began. I don't know how it ended.
Yeah.
And it was created, I imagine, not just as like a historical expose, but to give a real sense of what that event was actually like. I don't know if they ever went into, you know, what it did to American society or not. It basically, you know, tore the fabric of America apart, you know, for 20 years, and specifically for 10 years between 65 and 75. And they didn't really need to sell me on it, because I was already doing Fifth to the First for the Black and White magazine. And I'm not sure whatever happened to that magazine, to be honest. You know, they came up with this NOM thing. They told me what it was. I was okay. I was on board. And the rest is history.
Aren't you credited as co-creator on that?
Oh well, yeah, but
yeah.
They don't give you creators' rights on a title; it's on the characters.
Right.
Ah, right. And of course, you are co-creator of X-Men's Rogue, aren't you?
Yeah.
As well?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that first appearance very well. She's changed a lot since then, actually.
That's what everybody says.
Yeah. But and obviously,
well, she'll be showing up in the MCU probably.
Oh, yeah.
The gossip I keep hearing is that that's the whole reason they did that Captain Marvel movie was to get that ball rolling and then introduce the X-Men. And probably and hopefully within that first movie, the first X-Men movie, they'll introduce Rogue.
Oh, that'd be great.
You know,
I would love to see that storyline. You know, when Rogue sort of takes over Captain Marvel's body and puts her into a coma.
Yeah, they'll have no choice. That's when Fox did it and how they introduced Rogue really cheesed a lot of people.
It wasn't using the full potential of the character, was it? Really?
And the MCU, although they're only really kind of giving lip service to it, they're kind of following the Marvel universe, the printed universe.
Yeah.
So they've got Captain Marvel now. They're going to bring in X-Men, and like I said, so the gossip is that, you know, they'll bring in it almost, if not immediately, at least real soon. They'll be obliged to bring in Rogue because it's one of the strongest stories Marvel's done in its own history. So you know, next to the death of Gwen Stacy, for that, you know.
Yeah, it was a big character story. There was a lot of drama in it. You know, I remember when they adapted it on the X-Men cartoon. I remember it being, because it's such a good story, even that version of it was really powerful, you know. I like that storyline. So Sam, in the background, could you bring up the Kickstarter? No, it's not a Kickstarter, is it? It's an Indiegogo. Because this is the new, well, it's not new, it's been around a while.
Spartan X,
Spartan X, and we're finally going to get to see the entire story, I believe, which is incredible.
I'm assuming it wasn't finished back in the day because it was Topps Comics and they went out of business.
No, basically what happened was
be kind, because it all comes down to me screwing up, guys.
No, it doesn't. Let me tell my story.
Yeah, and then he can tell you his story.
We'll hit both sides, yeah. Fantastic.
All right. So the way Spartan X happened was when I was an editor at Marvel, I came up for the idea of Spartan X. I was inspired by the movies of Jackie Chan. And I decided to reach out to Jackie's people in Hong Kong and see if I couldn't get him on board as a consultant. And so I did. I contacted his agents in Hong Kong, and probably within about a week or two of having the idea for the book, I was on a plane to Hong Kong and ended up staying over there for about a month on movie sets with Jackie and information and material that we were going to use in the books. And when I came home around that time was when Marvel had been bought by Ron Perlman. And I don't know if bought is the right word, but things started to drastically change at Marvel at that time. And I was offered a job at Topps Comics by Jim Salicrup, my old friend. And so I moved over. I reluctantly left Marvel, and I moved over to Topps because I really did love Marvel before the Perlman stuff. It was just like my family. Yeah. But you could tell things were changing. And shortly after I moved over to Topps, about half the Marvel staff was fired. Ooh. And so I felt very fortunate to be at my little office over at Topps. We started developing.
Dodged the bullet.
Yeah, I did. I really dodged a bullet. And I remember going into Mark Grunwald's office before I accepted the job at Topps and saying, Mark, I really don't want to leave Marvel. And he said, look, if they're offering you a job and it's paying you more than Marvel, I would suggest you take it because things are about to really change here and I can't protect everybody.
Yeah.
And it turns out it broke his heart. I really think that's one of the things that killed Mark, just the stress of having to see the company that he loved kind of changing like it was.
Yeah, that's really sad to hear.
Yeah, that's just my speculation. But Mark was a fantastic guy. But I went over to Topps and continued to develop Sparknex and brought on Rick Myers as a consultant. We had Jackie that I was working with also. And I brought Michael on as my co-creator because of just his amazing storytelling and story sense in general. And I thought if anybody could capture the action that I wanted, that I saw in Hong Kong movies and action movies, that Michael could do it. He was the only person that I knew that could. And we started developing the project. And about that, when we were several issues into it, Michael was offered a job as senior art director at Marvel Comics. And that really ended up taking up most of his time. And
I can imagine.
Sparknex to the back burner at that point, and I republished the books with Image as a packager, with the idea of finishing it. But then we just got so busy on other projects, and we weren't really sure what we were going to do with Sparknex as far as the ending. And we just decided that now was the time to get the ending out there. Michael actually wrote it a long time ago. And now we just think it's time to get the whole book out there in one complete volume so that fans can read it and see the full scope. And I want to include, like I said, a lot of behind the scenes information and just close the book, so to speak, on that project in a very big and beautiful way.
And it does look amazing. But I have to ask, Michael, taking into account what you said earlier about when you look back on your older work, some of this work is quite old now. Have you been tempted to go in and tweak some of the old pages?
Yes, he wants to tweak everything.
No, my plan was to redo the entire thing.
But
we really
do that. We're not going to do that.
And the publisher balked at this idea.
Yes, because what I want to do is present it as an artifact of its time.
Yeah, it's an artifact. That's for sure.
And so, and Michael's artwork will be on the ending, both pencils and inks. So it'll be sort of a neat bookend that way, I think.
Mm-hmm. And I guess what you'll see as well is a level of development through the book as it, through the years, as the style has changed and the art has developed, and the storytelling.
Well, I would disagree with that in the sense that the first portion of the book, the parts that already done, was inked by somebody else.
Right.
So it's not really any kind of reflection on either him or me, for that matter. When I finish this thing up, it'll be different, only in the sense that, well, I'm inking it myself. You know, and yeah, I hope it's different from 30 years ago. But, you know, fans tend not to like that. They want the stuff to be the same. You know, they want whatever it is that they're buying. It doesn't mean it's not just comic books, but everything.
The whole nostalgia.
They want it to be the same, always the same things that they've always loved. Even though they've, you know, it's been colored by 30 years of nostalgia, probably.
I think
it's
it's hard, isn't
it? The thing about the Spartan X project is that this final chapter takes place in an entirely different place than the rest of the book. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
The first section that's already been published was an ongoing story. In other words, you know, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. So, and so the artwork is all fairly consistent with that kind of timeline. The final chapter is, oh, well, now we're someplace completely different, you know, and it's a different kind of story. So I don't think any changes in the artwork will be compromising of that fact.
The storytelling is still great in the first part.
Yeah, so, I mean, other than that, I'm a genius. So, you know.
And the whole idea is to present the old.
I made it sound like I actually had a plan, didn't I, guys?
It was all intentional. All intentional.
The whole idea is to represent the story that fans really loved in the beginning and give them something completely new to, you know, to add to what they already loved. And like I said, a lot of behind the scenes material as well. And
if I've read it correctly, it's 24 extra pages of art. So that's like the equivalent of an extra issue then. So that's quite a commitment, Mike. And I know you said you've been very busy. How much of that have you got in the bank?
Well, like I said, like she said, it's written. And the way I work now is actually more efficient than the way I worked then.
Right.
So I'm not worried about it, but then, you know, I don't worry about much.
Just stop answering the phone once it gets close to the deadline.
Yeah, just answer the phone. It's once I get rolling on it, I mean, I'm clearing out a bunch of stuff now. Once I get rolling on it, it will be produced the same way as comic books are produced in America all the time. I mean, it'll be on a 22-day schedule. Relatively speaking. It's, you know, it's a page of pencils a day, page of inks a day. It's already written, or pretty much. I realized a couple weeks ago that I had to tweak something.
He hasn't told me yet. But.
This is an exclusive.
Everybody died.
Breaking news.
So, but I mean, you know, it'll be produced just like a regular issue of the comic book. Same kind of mentality, same kind of production. You know.
And,
also, to add real quick that once we do the Spartan X project, it's just the beginning, because we have several creator-owned projects by Michael that we want to launch after that.
Oh,
okay,
right.
Everybody.
That sounds really interesting.
Another one we're co-creating that I'm really excited about, but I can't talk about it yet. But when we do launch it, I'd love to come back on and tell you about it.
Wow, yeah.
We both signed each other to a non-disclosure.
Yes.
All right. Oh, that sounds really exciting. But yeah, of course, you'd be very welcome to come on and promote anything. Yes.
And Michael just finished Can I say what we just worked on without?
I don't think. Speaking of non-disclosures, I don't think so. Not yet.
I can't even say anything.
No, not yet.
Oh, the tease. That's a tease.
It's Christmas. Do us a game of charades. Is it a film? Is it a book?
We don't get the freedom to say anything until a third party, who shall remain nameless, gets the production going.
It's big. No, it's going to be fun though. So when I can't announce it, I will. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So what kind of time scale are you looking for that? At least you can give us a hint of when that might be out.
Yeah, when to look out for it. Yeah.
What, the secret thing?
The secret thing.
Oh,
yeah.
that I don't know. That's entirely up to them.
Well, it just wrapped. So
yeah, it just wrapped. The production just wrapped, I believe.
Right.
So I imagine they'll be making an announcement, early next year.
Okay. Pretend like I didn't say anything. But after Spartan X is over, then we'll have new things that we're going to announce. The first one is a series that Michael and I co-created, which I am very excited about. So, but I can't tell you too much about it right now. Spartan X first, and I'm excited about that too, because that's been a project long in the making, and it led to a whole chapter in my life working on that Spartan X book. Because when I left Topps, I actually went and worked with Jackie Chan on movies for a long time after that.
There's a picture on the Indiegogo page, isn't there, with Jackie?
Yeah, that's when I was in one time.
Yeah. She's in several of his movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when she said she was working on the movie, she was actually in them.
In the movie. That's cool.
Very cool.
Did you get to beat people up, Renee?
No.
Oh, no, that's just her day job.
I every day for a living, so. Although I will tell you one funny story. When I was in Hong Kong, of course, I would work. If you were hanging out with Jackie, you had to go to the gym every day. So I would go to the gym and work out with him and his stunt guys, but they took it really easy on me. But when Jackie was filming Rush Hour, I had just had a skiing accident, and I was on crutches. And I was in New York at the time. He was in LA, and I received a phone call from this fella who knew Buster Keaton's widow, Eleanor Keaton. And Eleanor wanted to meet Jackie. So they were saying, could you introduce Eleanor to Jackie? And I said, well, I'm sure he would like to meet her. Because, Jackie was very influenced by Buster Keaton's work. Yeah. So many of his movies. And he fully admits that he loves Buster Keaton. So I called Jackie, and he said, yes, I'd love to meet her. So within a day, once again, I was on a plane, this time to Los Angeles with my crutches and all. And I show up on set, and Jackie comes up to me, and he just looks at me like this, and he goes, what happened to you? and I said, well, I had a skiing accident. And he just shakes his head, and he goes, yeah, and people say what I do is dangerous. But then he kept stealing my crutches and holding them up to focus the camera. So I was like standing there like on one crutch. He was really nice. I got to work out with him fight with him on camera, but we would go to the gym. I would hang out with the guys, and they would show me some moves.
It's incredible how many injuries he's sustained over the years, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Well, in my book, Dying for Action, which was published by Titan over in the UK, published by Warner Books in the US, I document all of his injuries up to that point in time.
It's incredible.
Dated, but
It's not very dangerous drawing comics, is it? I think it can be. I mean, well, look what happened. I think it was Bernie Wrightson got poisoned by the ink he was using.
That is true. Yes.
At one point, I think it was Bernie.
Was this from the fumes?
Way back. Say what?
Was this from the fumes from the ink then?
No. It was. You get it on your fingers.
Ah, right.
On the fingers, and it seeps in through your skin. Then you got morons like me that like you were just saying, point my brush by putting it in my mouth.
I do the same. You just do it without thinking, though, don't you? Because I just want to point on that brush.
Well, I don't. Okay, see, you just took it the next step. No, I go wash mine out first. I think I do, but I mean, it's up until digital technology, pretty much everything that you work with will kill you. I knew an artist who did do the thing with the mouth, with the pencils. Because he would get when he was, when he worked, he tended to work with I think it was like a 4B or a 6B pencil.
Right, soft.
Or maybe it was just a 2B, come to think of it. It was a 2B pencil. And he'd do like his light rendering, but then when he wanted to do darker rendering, all he'd do was like wet his pencil by putting it in his mouth and putting it down there, and you get a darker black graphite line. And you're sitting there thinking, this guy's going to die. He's going to get some sort of mouth cancer here,
Did he?
And,
Did he get sick?
I don't know. I lost track of him. I don't know whatever happened to him.
I think
but I think it was Bernie that got some sort of poisoning at one point
when he was working
from using ink.
Yeah, I seem to remember that actually about ink poisoning and very poorly, didn't he?
Sorry, the other person that got really sick was Frank Frazetta. Got some sort of reaction
right.
From the chemicals in the paints and the
Yeah.
Well, famously, Van Gogh was poisoned, wasn't he, by his paints?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's quite it. Yeah.
Art is dangerous.
What a morbid subject at Christmas.
The dangers of being a professional comic book artist.
Yeah, well, now you know.
You don't think about it, but it's like...
Yeah, that Jackie Chan, he's a pussy.
And then the digital technology just makes you crazy. So,
And you've got eye problems.
Yeah.
But and of course, there are injuries that you can have from being an artist. I mean, I know when back in the day when I used to do a lot more art, and I used to get repetitive strain injuries on my hands, and I used to get terrible...
That wasn't from art, Shane. That was from other things.
Stop it. And I used to get terrible neck pain and back pain from being in a bad position.
I do the same thing. I got carpal tunnel and something else, something else in my elbow. There was a period of time where I was working with so many braces and wraps that I looked like Frankenstein, just so I could work. And then I figured out how to do it. It's like you hold your hand a certain way and you don't, blah, blah, blah. And, but I've had arthritis since I was a teenager.
Oh, God.
So that just exacerbated it even worse. I mean, there's been mornings where I can't make a fist. Well, actually, I still can't make a fist with my right hand.
Wow.
It's
left hand.
Huh?
Make up for it with your left hand.
I can try. And that repetitive motion we were talking about.
Oh.
Too much playing with my pencil.
Just like I know it's live, but if you could delete that for future
This is the thing about
it's
live.
about the level of humour we have here every week.
Double entendre there.
I'm letting him out today.
Honestly, that's mild compared to some of the stuff guests have come out with on here, I tell you.
You had Bisley on the show yet?
No, that would be one, wouldn't it?
We waited until the very last show because we know it will probably be taken off YouTube once we've had this.
You might want to have a 5-second delay with Biz. I don't know.
We are sort of approaching the end of the hour, which is incredible. It's gone really quickly.
But there's one thing you haven't mentioned yet, Shane.
Yes, and I'm going to. Before we go, I do have a little announcement.
A Christmas present to our listeners and viewers.
Yes, I'm very, very happy to announce live on the show that Michael and Renee will be joining us for ICE 2022 on September the 10th in Birmingham. Yay! And I'm really, really looking forward to seeing you guys in person at the show. And welcome you back to Birmingham.
I'm going to be hunting out some decent man covers now.
Yes. We'll do a little tour. We'll do a little manhole cover tour or something for you.
Yeah, there you go. The manholes of Britain. Oh, wait a minute. That sounded so bad.
Huzzah from Chris Ball.
Huzzah.
Chris is very happy.
Hope to see you there, Chris.
Oh, you will. Chris is part of the ICE team, actually. He helps me with the show. So you will see Chris and a few other people as well, who you might remember from 2008.
It's been so long since we've been to the UK. I can't.
So when was the last time you visited the UK, or was that the last time?
I was probably in London about 3.5 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, we were in London not that long ago.
Yeah, it seems like ages though.
It does.
Yeah, well, so much has happened. Yeah, the world has changed, hasn't it, since the 3 years ago? Yeah.
So, do you have any good hiking around you?
Oh yes, I mean we are surrounded by beautiful countryside.
There is near here
in Birmingham in the Midlands. Yeah, you're only 10 minutes away from some wonderful hills like Lickey Hills and some beautiful, beautiful countryside. Don't you worry about that. I'll point you in the right direction when you're here. Definitely.
In fact, where I live, which is just 45 minutes from Birmingham, we have beautiful countryside, huge hills, a whole range of hills that are just spectacular views just on the Welsh border. And if you're interested in hiking and
I love the countryside. I mean, the Lake District is one of my favorite places in the world.
Oh, yes, me too. One year, you should come over and go to the lakes. They do a comic festival
middle of October. Yeah,
at the Lake District, and it's really good. It's
if they invite
really
us, I would love to.
I'll drop a hint to them.
If they build it, we will come.
If they build it, we will come.
Yeah,
as long as hiking and fishing.
Oh, there's plenty of that. But it's a lovely festival.
Michael. And manhole covers for Michael.
Yeah. Oh, I can show you plenty.
There won't be any manhole covers out where you're hiking.
You never know.
That's a good point. Yeah. Do you guys still have
some other interesting items?
Do you guys still have the free access law where you can just cross people's property? Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of the time, yeah.
Yeah. Public footbaths are still, there is a right of way on so many, and they can go across farmland. They can go across, in some cases, people's properties. Because they've been there for so long, and when the properties are built, they have to keep them in the rights.
Yeah.
So that can happen. You do get it where people don't like people walking through their back garden, and they'll try and stop it.
People tend to take advantage of that sort of stuff,
Yeah. You do get that.
Just wondering.
Yeah, you do get it.
Walking through sheep meadows and everything all the time. They have little gates just for the hikers to go in.
Yeah.
Walk.
Yeah. It's nice, but it's much more a summer activity than a winter activity, I'd say.
Oh, that's true. Oh, well.
So
you'll be all right in September, though. It'll be a nice end of summer. It should be lovely weather. Just remember to pack your hiking boots.
Okay, I will. They put Michael out there too.
Go for it.
And there's always lovely country pubs as well, Michael, wherever you go. So there's always that to entice you on a country walk. At the end of it, there's always a beautiful pub with some kind of history and maybe a ghost haunting it.
There you go.
That sounds great. I love it.
One last comment before we go. Apparently, Renee signed Chris Ball's She-Hulk number 50.
Oh, great. I'm so glad.
He's obviously very happy about that. It was a great series, that, actually.
Oh, I love it.
So, guys, I just want to say thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you. It went very quickly.
It did.
It did.
Yes. We
It's
did
been
go
lovely
fast.
to see you, and I hope you've enjoyed your time with us, and I hope you enjoy your time with us in September.
See you then.
Have happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
Oh, happy holidays.
Yeah.
Have a happy new year as well, and see you in the new year.
I hope you guys
See you
find
then.
spirit like Ollie and I did.
We'll get there. Have a
All
great
right.
Christmas,
See you
guys.
guys later.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All the best. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you,
Oh, I
guys.
can't.